So welcome to my YouTube channel, that's what we call The Good Life. Today I'm going to be talking about overwintering vegetables. There's lots of people that put their allotments to bed in the winter and don't do anything, but I like to keep a few things going so we've got something to feed us throughout the year, you know, so you've got something to help with that hunger gap, and also so you're one step ahead in the spring, so you've already got some things that are going to be producing you vegetables, and some people haven't even got anything in the ground. Now, if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment, and also my home kitchen. Now, I've got some things already planted, and I'm also going to be planting some things today. Now, I'm going to be showing you and giving you some top tips on how to plant some of your brassicas as well, so that'll help you get a more successful crop, and I will get to that later. But first of all, I've already got some lettuces in my greenhouse at home, which are looking absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping that they're going to see me through the winter. I've also put my overwintering onions in and my garlic already, which we can just take a quick look at on my allotment just over here. So just over here I've got my garlic, which is coming along absolutely fantastic, and also some overwintering onions. There's two types of onions, so there's the ones you plant in the spring and they're the ones you plant in the autumn, which obviously these are the ones you plant in the autumn, and obviously I'm overwintering garlic as well. So that's that. I've also got some leeks over here, which I put in earlier in the year, but I can start harvesting those now, so they're going to keep me through vegetables throughout the winter. And also some chard, another great one to overwinter because it's so incredibly hardy. It doesn't need to be covered or anything like that. It just grows quite happily even when the weather's quite cold. Not as vigorously, but it's still a really great overwintering crop, and one that I have in every single year. So the plants I've got that I'm going to be putting in today are, I've got some broad beans, some aquadulse, which I'm going to be popping in. These are okay to put outside, but you might have to fleece them if it gets particularly cold. They can take quite a bit of frost, but if it's particularly bad, they're worth fleecing. Things like your kale and your, which I've got here, which I'm going to be popping in, and that's one of the ones I'm going to give you a really good tip on how to plant. And also some purple sprouting, another one I'm going to give you a good tip on purple sprouting. These aren't susceptible to the frost. They're very, very hardy indeed. I am going to be putting them in here, but only more to protect them from the birds than anything else, rather than protecting them from the frost. But the beans, on the other hand, if it's particularly frosty, you might need to pop some fleece over them if it's really bad, or keep them in your greenhouse. I must admit, I'm edging my bets. I've got 2 trays here I'm going to put out, and I've got 2 trays I'm keeping in my greenhouse to put out very early next year when I think it's the right time to do it. So, if you've not subscribed to my channel, statistically an awful lot of people don't, they just watch the video, but the only way I can keep doing these videos and keep producing more is if I get more people that subscribe and watch my channel. So if you haven't, you'd be doing me a massive, massive favour, and you'll be helping lots of other people to be able to access it, because my videos will be shared more widely. So if you could subscribe and put something in the comments to tell us that you subscribed, and tell us what you liked most, and also tell us what you want to see. This is all about helping other people grow fruit and vegetables, normal everyday folk like you and I, growing things to feed our families. There's nothing complicated about growing your veg. Anyone can do it. I'm testament to that. Now let's crack on and get some things planted. So I'm going to plant the kale first. Kale is a fantastic thing to grow. You can use it on a real wide variety of dishes, from salads to stir fries. Crispy kale is one of my favourite. So versatile and so very nutrient dense as well, so ridiculously good for you as well, and so easy to grow too. Like I said, I'm putting mine in here, but this is more to protect it from the birds than it is anything else, but it doesn't actually need to be covered. It's very, very hardy indeed. Now this cover that I've got, believe it or not, is made out of an old trampoline. So if you think you can't afford a proper cover for your vegetables, like a little kind of like polytunnel that I've made, this was an old trampoline that got broken in a really high wind, and we put this together a couple of years ago, and then just bought some of this scaffolding net to cover it with, and it works for 2 things. It protects it from the birds, and it also keeps it a little bit warmer inside. So it's really, really awesome. If you want to get some of this scaffolding net, we do have an allotment shop, so you can look in the description and order yourself some of that, because we use this to cover an awful lot of our vegetables from the birds, because it's so cheap and so versatile and easy to get. It doesn't break as easily as some of the other netting that you use as well. That's why we use this. So let's get cracking and get some of these in, and I'll show you how I plant my brassicas. So let's go into the tunnel. It's not very big, but it does what I need it to do. Oh, there we go. So I've got 8 here, so let's measure out. I think I'm going to get about 4 in a row, I think. What you've got to think about is height as well, so maybe move them in a little bit. I don't want to, I want them to have plenty of room. And I normally do things like this at about, I've got quite big feet to be fair, about 1 foot apart is probably about right. People get quite worked up about how close or how not close to put things. It does come down a little bit to the amount of room that you've got, if I'm honest. So one of the best things to do is just to mark out where they're going to go first. In fact, I've not got 8, I've got 6. So I'm going to try and fit them all in one row rather than... In fact, if I'm doing them all in one row, I'm going to do them through the middle. Let's do them like this. I've got one tiny little one there. It's not up to much, that one. I'm not sure what happened with that one. Didn't realise I had such a tiny one. So actually I've only really got 5 decent plants. But 5 decent plants for kale is a lot of veg. They do produce quite a lot. They might look quite small at the moment. And indeed, if I wanted to, I could be taking off some of the smaller leaves now if I wanted to. You know, when people say, when can I pick something like this? You can just pick it. What I would say is never pick it bare. So I'd only just take a few of the lower ones to help it fill out. So if you were really keen and you wanted to start eating a few, there'd be nothing wrong with taking a few bottom leaves now. So dig ourselves a nice hole. I think we're about in the middle there. Now when you plant brassicas down, just take them down a little bit deeper than the actual line of the pot, and it helps them stay a little bit more sturdy. What you don't want to do is go past the growing shoot. If you go past the growing shoot, it might stop it from growing, but you can easily sink them down a little bit. It keeps them a little bit firmer and they just grow a little bit steadier, which is more important when you've got things that you want to produce broccoli and cauliflower, because then they're more likely to produce a really good head. And the other thing to do is to really firm it around. And again, any kind of brassica, I always tread around. Well, if you knock the odd leaf off, you could pick that off and you could actually eat it, couldn't you? Actually tread around it when you firm it in with your boot. Obviously be careful not to tread on the actual plant, but firming it in really nicely makes a big difference, like that. So let's do another one so I can give you an example of what you need to do. So about 1 foot apart. There we go. It's very muddy up here at the moment. I don't know what it's like where you are, but we've had an awful lot of rain. There we go, and pop another one in, like that, a little bit lower beneath the soil. Break the soil up if it's a little bit clumpy like we've got here. So, squidge it in. Breaking it up with your fingers sometimes is by far the easiest thing to do. So I'll firm it in with my hands straight first off, and then just get my boot in, and then just squidge it in around the edges like that. And obviously don't forget to get, I know it's raining quite a lot, but I'll still probably give them a little bit of a water in just to make sure they're watered in. So I'm going to get on with the rest and I'll show you the end result when we get there. So I've got all my plants in. I've got 3 rows of broad beans here, I've got my rubber kale, and I've got 2 rows of purple sprouting. So all that's left for me to do now is just to water them in. Like I said, if you've not already subscribed, if you could please do so, because it'll be awesome for you and awesome to help other people. And we will be doing some tours, some December tours, and there'll be more hints and tips all throughout the coming months. Even though it's cold outside, there's still lots of things you can be doing on your allotment to prep it, and also current things, so you're well ahead of everybody else next year. Now I do hope you've all found that really useful. If you've got any questions or comments, then as ever please do put them in the comments, and we answer every single comment that we receive, and hope you enjoyed the video.